So this is a DIY channel. Like, I feature gadgets, tools, skill sets, like various skill sets, including arc welding. Here's the opening scene to gadgets number 58. So behind those scenes, this was a welder in use, a 240 volt AC welder, a buzz box, right? So I've had that for about 40 years. And back then, that's pretty much what guys would get. Like if you want to go with a DC welder, you were talking quite a bit more money. As it was, this was like 200 bucks. I was probably making about $5 an hour back then. So that's 40 hours pay, a week's wages to get that. My, how the marketplace has changed and the technology has changed. Case in point is this Arccaptain MIG130 welder, right? It features inverter technology. So now we're not talking about big transformers, we're talking about lightweight, and we're talking about affordable DC welding. Instead of a week's wages to get that, you're talking less than a day's pay, like maybe 5 or 6 hours worth. And I did even better than that because Arccaptain sent it to me. So if somebody's going to send me a free welder, the least I can do is say something nice about it, right? So guys, this Arccaptain MIG130 welder is really, really nice. How do I know? I haven't even opened the box yet. Before I agree to do something like this, I do a bit of legwork. So I quickly discovered that there are many Arccaptain products handed out to a lot of YouTubers out there. Like this budget-orientated welding machine market, like it's cutthroat. It's really competitive. So Arccaptain is just trying to make its brand, like, you know, make itself known, and it showing that it's ready to compete, right? Even on pricing as well. And I've watched a whole bunch of those videos, and the YouTubers have a very positive view to these Arccaptain products. And I also went out to Amazon, and the customer reviews there are very positive. Of course, let's open the box. Let's have a look at it. Arccaptain MIG130. Don't let the name fool you. This is strictly a flux core machine. No provisions for solid wire or shielding gas, which suits me just fine. I do not want to store or purchase shielding gas bottles, which will also exclude the optional TIG welding process of this machine. I'm mostly interested in the flux core side of it and the stick welding side of it. So here's my plan. One, I'm going to go over some of the features of this machine with some emphasis on those features that are deemed like a little unconventional. Then I'm going to put on my monkey suit. I'm going to go heat my garage, which I don't like to do in the dead of winter up here, but I will. And I'm going to lay down a few beads of weld. And thirdly, and this is going to be the main thrust of this video, it's about portability. Like this machine only weighs 12 pounds. It's got a 120 volt plug. Now, not all 120 volt outlets are created equal, and I'm going to be pursuing that in this video. The stinger is permanently mounted, and flux core wants electronegative. So this is always electronegative, so you can't make a mistake. The ground clamp goes on to positive. That's known as straight polarity. It's a suitcase style machine. Top loading. We'll only accept these 2-pound flux core rolls, which is just as well, right? Like we're DIYers, so we can go like weeks or months between jobs. Maybe you get 2 or 3 jobs come in a row after that. But this flux core wire can't be left to the elements. Like it can't just be in the shop for extended period of times, especially in a place like this here where I get these swings in temperature and humidity and so on. So I'm going to snip the wire, bag the roll, store it indoors where it's nice and dry, and I'm not going to try to reuse this like 2 meter or 6 foot section of wire that's already gone through the knurled drive wheel. It's sacrificial. So that's just the cost of doing business here. One of these unconventional features is the way the roll tension is held here. This is spring loaded, just a quarter turn, goes on and off, and provides the proper tension on the roll. So another thing particular to this machine is that it is always in something called synergy mode. You only have the one dial here. You don't have a separate voltage and wire speed adjustment. And it's being interpreted as amps going to your work. And the machine then translates that into the necessary voltage and wire speed to accommodate it. For some, it can take a lot of the guesswork out. Okay, let's go brave those conditions in the shop. So it's been minus 37 degrees C out here in the last few days. It's warmed up right now to a balmy minus 10 degrees C. So it's taking the opportunity here that this is a better day to heat the garage. And that thing can handle it. So before we start making some sparks here, there's one more thing that I want to touch on. Okay. This is a gas shield, and we're not going with gas. We're flux core only, and that kind of impairs our vision, right? So I suppose we could go bare, right? But we get a lot of spatter on all this, but maybe it doesn't really matter that much. Now they have these black high heat plastic covers that slip over here for when you're doing flux core, right? Protects this part of it. But they're meant for the threaded type gas diffusers, not this MB15AK style. But there is this pink porcelain type. Now I know it looks like those TIG cups, right? But it's actually meant for covering up on flux core MIG use. And that's an improvement over the metal shield. But maybe we can go one step further here. I cut one back here a little bit, and now we can see much better. I'm going to go with that. Santa got me this, a DeWalt brushless 20 volt angle grinder. Like, I don't know why I dislike Christmas so much. Like, I really get nice shit. So here is my Arccaptain MIG130 flux core weld, right? I don't know, not bad. Good penetration here. I'm pleased with that. But there is something here that I've got to show you guys, right? So I was using 1/8 thick material, right? So according to that chart, I should have used anywhere between 130 and 140 amps, right? So as to its namesake, this Arccaptain MIG130 maxes out at 130 amps in flux core mode. So if we went by the chart, we'd run into two big problems. One, this is way too hot for 1/8 thick material with 30 thou wire, which is just as well because you're going to blow fuses if you've got it maxed out. Like, not just any fuses, like these 20 amp D type, which have a 20-second time delay The weld that I showed you was done at 85 amps. Plenty hot. So now we're going to be switching welding processes. We're going to be going with stick, which is normally electrode positive. So the whip is connected here. The ground to our work is on the negative over here, which is now called reverse polarity. It's nice that on this Arccaptain MIG130 we can switch polarities without having to go inside here and switching some wires around. It's done all in the front here. Pressing this button sets us into stick mode. I'm going to set it at 93 amps. Rule of thumb is 1 amp for every 1,000th diameter of the welding rod. This is a 3/32 welding rod, which is 93 thousandths. That's why I went 93 amps. It's a very good starting point. .7014 3/32 diameter rod on a 3/16 thick material. Arccaptain MIG130 was set at 93 amps. Plenty hot. I think the penetration is pretty good here. Again, I'm pleased with that. You'll recall that I had set myself 3 goals for this video. Like, one was to outline some of the features of the Arccaptain MIG130 that might be kind of unique, so check. And then to do a couple of ceremonious welds, check. But the third and most important to me is portability. So a machine like the Arccaptain MIG130 that plugs into a 110 volt outlet and weighs only 12 pounds, like, that's portable, right? But you need the juice. So let's play with that a bit. And what could say portability more than if this Yamaha E2800i generator is capable of powering the Arccaptain MIG130, right? So that's not a very big generator. It too is very portable. It's not that heavy. I can tote this around. Don't let this L5 plug fool you. It is still 120 volt output, but it gives us a 19 amp breaker when tapped into here. A good heavy 12 gauge extension cord. I'm going to need some fresh air if I'm going to run this thing, and it doesn't get much fresher than this. So it was never really the 19 amp that I was concerned about, whether it could handle it. It was mainly about the surge, right? Could the generator take the surge? So this was flux core set at 85 amps, right? It didn't like it, but it was able to do it. And if I had an emergency kind of use for this, you know, keeping in mind that everything is kind of light here, I would go ahead and use it. And if I had a small project on some thin wall square tubing where you could turn down the MIG130 down to, say, 70 or 75 amps, there would be no issue here. It's good to have. So in my garage, I've got a dedicated 20 amp outlet, right? And nothing else in that circuit. And I'm using a heavy 12 gauge extension cord. About as good as it gets for a 120 volt power supply for the Arccaptain MIG130. I found out that it's possible to blow a 20 amp fuse, even a time delay one, right? But it's okay at amp settings that work fine, like 85 amps, 95 amps for stick, 85 amps for MIG. No problem with that 20 amp outlet. So from a portability standpoint, if I was to take the MIG130 to a friend's garage, he too would have to have a pretty decent 120 volt outlet. So overall impression, I love it. I declined Arccaptain's offer for me to become an affiliate. You know, like when you get a code, so you get a discount if you go through the channel and so on. No reflection on the product itself, right? It's just that this channel is not welding centric enough, I felt. Okay. So there are many other channels that you can go to, get their code, and if you've got something in mind from our Arccaptain line of products, you can get a discount. And I'll recommend one. So if you go to No BS Welding, CB Phillips there, he handles himself very well. So you could get a code from him, get a discount. CB Phillips would get a little something. Arccaptain would be happy. You know, like everybody would be happy. My thanks to Arccaptain for sending me this, and to Chris, a friend of the channel and a friend of mine, who played Cupid in getting Arccaptain and the Gadgets playlist together. And thank you for watching. Take care.